It's the Cool Kids Club. You've been invited to the Cool Kids Club. It's so exciting, yeah. Justin likes monsters, yeah. And Amy likes words in the Cool Kids Club. Cool Kids Club.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cool Kids Club podcast, episode number 72. I am one of your hosts, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
Hey!
Hey, what up?
Oh, you know, just back on my bullshit hosting this podcast.
Oh, sure.
And who are you?
Oh, I'm your sister of 36 years, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
No, right.
Nice to meet you. God, we are back on our bullshit. It feels like, is it because it's a new season?
It's a new year, it's a new season. It's season 4.
It's a new season of our lives.
It is.
Are we going to hit syndication this year?
We did have a cliffhanger at the end of last episode. Should we have done a previously on?
Oh. Previously on Cool Kids Club. Like one of those.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back and pull clips from previously because that's a lot of editing.
No, I wouldn't worry about it. Just go listen to the episode.
Yeah, just go listen to the episode. That's our previously on.
Mm-hmm. But we're back. Let's not live.
Did you guys like that cliffhanger?
Let's not live in the past. Let's move forward.
Let's move forward. It is a new year.
The people did seem to like that cliffhanger. By the way,
I liked that. That was fun.
Yes. The people, TM.
The
people with a
right.
capital. I think that's become a thing now, right?
You think we're ever gonna get our trademark for America's favorite siblings?
I don't know, man. I've got the worst fucking attorney.
Yeah. I feel like we submitted that paperwork so long ago, and I've heard
we're on season 4 now.
Season 4.
Yeah.
Are we gonna hit syndication this year? Isn't that usually when?
Yeah, I was thinking earlier. I was like, season 4 in a TV show is kind of like, it's like either ends up being the best season or it's like when there's really a drop off.
Okay.
And like I'm thinking like sitcoms and stuff.
Yeah.
That does tend to be the prime years. You know, though, usually
it tends to be before you've really jumped the shark.
Yeah. Well, do you think we've jumped the shark?
Well, we've not done a Happy Days episode yet, so...
Oh, but we did do Nick at Night. We have talked about Happy Days on the show.
I don't know, have we jumped the shark? We've not done a Shark Week episode. How could we have?
See?
I don't think we have.
Your logic is infallible.
I think we're still in our prime.
Okay.
It's a good podcast. I stand by it.
I stand by it. We may be jumping the shark right now, in this very moment.
I think by talking about it, I think that is the worst thing we could do.
That is. Well, it's happened.
Well.
Welcome to season 4, everyone. It's all downhill from here.
We had a good run. Yeah, we're going to start bringing in cousins that we've never talked about before.
Yeah, new characters. Mm-hmm. New characters.
Mom's going to get pregnant.
What?
Well, that's always, they got to bring in a younger sibling. Justin, what if we found out we had a younger sibling?
Oh, shit.
And then brought them in.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's a classic later season.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to leave for half the season.
But in real life, it's because you have a drug problem?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Justin, what if I
don't, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
No. What if we pulled a Becky on Roseanne and I just got somebody else to be you for a season?
I love how we're 5 minutes into this episode. We haven't even mentioned what we're talking about today.
No,
but
we never do.
I'm on a roll.
Is not new.
I'm on a roll with this, and I say we go full was it Dallas that did the whole season that was a dream?
Also, the end of Roseanne.
Also Roseanne.
The whole last season of Roseanne.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a dream. She was writing a book.
Or some
stupid shit. Yeah.
I never liked Roseanne.
I loved Roseanne.
I'm just gonna say not a fan. Not a fan. I'm a fan of John Goodman. Anyway, hey, what are we talking about?
You're not a Fozanne?
A what?
A Fozanne? You're not a fan of Roseanne?
Did you just make that up right now?
Yeah. What, did it sound like it was planned? Because it is. That was not a good one. Let's move on. Justin, all these things are yet to come. So stay tuned is what we're trying to say, because we're gonna have we're gonna have some twists. We're gonna have some turns. are we all of a sudden just going to have a whole season where it's actually the 70s? Lost.
Oh, you never know. We might have some time travel. I've done it on podcasts before.
That was season 4 of Lost, wasn't it?
Season 5.
That was season 5. Yep, you're right. Season 4 was the writer's strike season. Yes?
Yes.
God. Oh. Anyway, Justin, what the fuck are we talking about today?
Nicktoons is what we're talking about today.
Nicktoons. I like how I asked that as if I didn't know.
Well, I'm surprised you do know.
Yeah, I usually read the notes about 2 minutes before. You know, I think that adds something by me being a little unprepared, because I feel like our dynamic our dynamic is you're an educator. I am an idiot. And so
I'm also an idiot.
Well, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. You are also big dumb baby. Thank you. But see, I'm playing the role of the ignorant, not dumb, but ignorant person who maybe doesn't know everything.
Big dumb baby.
Big dumb baby.
You big dumb baby.
Every show needs at least one big dumb baby.
Well, you excel at it. So
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do know what we're talking about today. We are talking about Nicktoons.
I feel like we're getting back to basics, right? Like every time
we always do that at the beginning of a season.
Shoot, every time we do a Nickelodeon episode, I'm just like, yeah, this is the.
That's really when I feel like.
Honestly, like this podcast has made me realize what a huge part of my childhood Nickelodeon. Like I obviously already knew that.
100%.
But
yeah.
like, wow, like it's amongst the top 1 or 2 biggest things that defines my childhood. I would say.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, Nickelodeon's such a huge umbrella. So many things fell into that. You know, we've done Snick episodes, we've done Nick game shows, we did Nick at Night. We've done Nickelodeon Studios. God, in 72 episodes, it's getting to be a Garfield situation.
No, there's just a lot to talk about, man.
And that's not even,
we've talked Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
We've got another solo Nickelodeon show episode coming up pretty soon.
We do.
This is about the Nicktoons, and this is specifically the first 6 Nicktoons. Because
the ones that really kicked it off, yeah.
There are a metric shit ton of Nicktoons.
Oh god, yeah, there are a lot.
And pretty much everything, like all of this stuff by the early 2000s, I wasn't watching children's television anymore.
Sure.
It's lost on me. So this is the first 6. These are the big ones for our generation, I feel like.
Yes, absolutely. You know? Particularly that mid-millennial, where we're sort of hanging out in that older to mid-millennial.
Oh, yes.
Because, you know, a couple years younger than us is going to have a different Nicktoon experience, even though they are still a millennial.
Yeah.
Because, again, those changes happen so fast within our generation. You know. But anyway, yes, this was probably these were definitely the most influential, these first, 6 for us.
It's strange to me that, because, I mean, Nickelodeon as a channel existed since the 70s, and they had never really done any original animated programming.
Yeah, they'd done some weird stuff they'd gotten the rights to air, but not original programming.
Yeah. And I want to talk for a minute about Geraldine Laybourne, because this woman,
she's a hero to all.
She is a hero. If you are a kid who, a 80s, 90s kid who is listening to this podcast because you're interested in this stuff, you need to write your congressman and tell them that we need a Geraldine Laybourne Day, because she is a hero to an entire generation. This is the woman who was at the forefront of Nickelodeon. She is the one who spearheaded making Nickelodeon awesome. You know what, Justin? Girl power. Sure, girl power. Peace. Girl power. Mm-hmm. Peace in the Middle East. That's right. Girl power. Yeah. She's still alive, isn't she? She is, yeah. Yes, she is. I'd love to meet her. You think we could get her on the show? Well, we couldn't get Mark Summers. I'll reach out to my connections. Well, to be fair, I never tried. But we did tag him
one time.
That was about it.
I was a little too afraid. I was afraid of the rejection.
The rejection.
I was afraid, what if he said yes?
And then we'd have to do it.
And then we'd have to do it, and then I'd have to talk to Mark Summers and not blurt out stuff about how much I loved Unwrapped. And,
I'm sure he would love to hear. I'm sure he would love to hear it.
You know, he might.
I'm sure he would love to come on and get his ass kissed.
I feel like there's a documentary, by the way, coming out about Mark Summers, and I just read about it the other day.
Oh, okay.
Just, while you're talking about Geraldine, I'm gonna.
You're not gonna listen to me.
That's correct. No, I will.
No,
tell us more about Geraldine. Now, we did talk about Geraldine. We have talked about her before.
She was actually brought into Nickelodeon originally to make an animated project, like an original animated project that never saw the light of day. It was called Video Dream Theater, and it never aired. And she was brought, and that's how she got into the company, was she was brought on to do these 2 pilots that never saw air, but then she ended up becoming, she ended up running the company. And never made it to air because it was deemed too frightening. Basically the idea was they imagined kids' dreams in a different animation style. And the quote I read was basically her being like, yeah, kids' dreams are scary. So it didn't translate well. It was kind of a nightmare.
Oh, and then flash forward to Are You Afraid of the Dark?
And then they lost confidence, right? And they were like, nope, we can't, we tried to do original animated, and boy, that didn't work.
It didn't work out.
It didn't
I'm
work
really glad
out.
they didn't give up forever, though.
No, but I mean, it was seriously 10 years, pretty much all through the 80s. It was, I mean, they aired lots of cartoons, but it was all stuff that they, licensed,
Yeah, that they had got, yeah.
I remember a lot of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of, Peabody and Sherman, remember?
Oh, god damn, yeah, I remember Peabody and Sherman.
God!
Oh, god damn.
Shit. Mighty Mouse?
Oh, I loved Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, I did too, yeah.
Loved Mighty Mouse.
But that was the animation they were airing on Nickelodeon in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Was stuff that other people had made. So we actually talked. Do you remember we talked about Tattertown? I can't remember which episode.
I know it has 2 T's in the middle, but I really want to call it Tatertown.
Tatertown. Well, I mean, hey, you go out, you do you.
This is my podcast. I can do whatever I want.
I could call it Tatertown if I want to.
Cut to me being arrested.
Well, this ended up it ended up becoming really the first animated thing they did. Mm-hmm. It was a pilot, and that didn't get picked up, but then it got reworked into a Christmas special called Christmas in Tattertown.
Christmas in Tattertown, that's
Christmas in Tatertown.
I remember Christmas in... That sounds delicious. Ooh. Oh, Justin, they only serve taters in just all different forms. Oh, man. You do a tater Christmas one day.
A tater Christmas.
Yeah, there's no meat. It's just...
A tender Tennessee tater Christmas.
It's a tender Tennessee tater Christmas. It's the only Christmas for me. The people love when we sing.
They do. They do. They do.
You're welcome.
Our data says people like it.
Yeah. The one in Instagram.
The 2 comments we've gotten.
We should do a poll. And that way I can see who says no.
Yeah.
It'll show you.
Yeah.
I want to see.
It will be a way of creating a shit list.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. We'll block your ass. Just kidding. I'm so sorry.
Tatertown.
This is not even an after work episode. I'm just on one.
You're always on one.
Well, makes for a good podcast.
So after Tatertown, a Tennessee Tatertown Christmas, they do a Thanksgiving thing in 1989 where they basically do 2 shorts, and it's sort of their next animated project. While they're working on this, old Geraldine,
Jerry,
old Jerry L,
yeah,
Jerry L has all the producers and stuff over at her house for a big meeting.
Yeah.
And she plays them.
To be a fly on the wall.
I know.
To be a fly in the taters. That me.
that old chestnut. We're folksy is what we are. Oh, to be a fly in the taters.
Oh, to be a fly in the taters. Well, we do live in Tender, Tennessee. We're quite folksy.
Oh, God.
I'm so sorry. Geraldine has everyone at her house.
Yeah,
I've derailed it all.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
That's fine.
This is going to be 50% us goofing off and 30% talking about Nicktoons.
Yeah, so far.
20% plugs.
It's
Yeah.
about... Wow, that's a lot of plugs.
That's a lot of plugs.
No, basically the idea for Nicktoons was hatched over this, like, meeting at old Jerry's house. Mm-hmm. And she showed them, like, current cartoons, which was, like, what was big in 1989, like Ninja Turtles and stuff like that was very merchandise-driven.
Okay,
and, like, overly commercial, which is kind of the main criticism of a lot of those type of 80s cartoons. We've talked about
Where
that.
some of them were literally just created to sell toys. You know?
Yes, like the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So she was basically wanted to do the opposite of that. And with the idea of, like, putting the creator front and center. Like, they didn't want a consistent look like Disney.
Okay. Right.
So,
they didn't want all the animation to be similar.
They wanted every show to be its own thing with its own style. And so they put out a call basically for artists, for animators of, like, come to us with pitches. Like, we're going to be accepting pitches for so many days. They were like, we don't want a big pitch. We want like less developed ideas. Bring us sketches. Bring us like little tidbits of things. We don't want
bring us taters.
Bring us tender taters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tender Tennessee taters.
Could you imagine how much better a pitch meeting would go if you had brought like some potato skins?
What's with the potatoes today?
Well, Tater Town. I don't know. It sounds good.
I'm just thinking a lot about potatoes.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about potatoes. I like them. Buttery. Put some chives on there. Garlic. I just ate. Anyway.
We're just going to stop and let Amy talk about taters for a while.
Let's just get on like a soliloquy about taters.
Well, you work on that. I'll host this podcast.
Yeah, go on. Go ahead and host for me.
No, that was basically it. They accepted so many pitches.
I find that very cool, by the way, that they did not want it to have this is a Nickelodeon cartoon. Like, you could tell by looking at it. Like, they wanted everything to look varied.
The landscape of... And, you know, Nickelodeon is an MTV network. Mm-hmm. And much like MTV, I mean... There was a time, and that time is like, you know, the very late 90s, when both of those things became extremely corporatized. Not that they weren't corporate beforehand.
Yeah, but, yeah.
But, like, in like the 80s, these were places where it was like a real alternative feel, and they were doing cool stuff, and they wanted to give exposure to artists that, you know, maybe might not have a mainstream appeal. All the time, and also in the case of Nickelodeon, you know, make things that were for kids. Like,
yeah, we talked about that before. That it was a brand new concept of just that Nickelodeon should be something that is made solely for kids. Yeah. Everything else in the world is made for adults. Nickelodeon is made for kids.
Yeah, and that's just we see that. Quite a bit here with the development of the Nicktoons. I just think it's cool how they just like reached out to like artists. Like, we're like, hey, we're looking to pay some of you guys. Let's see what you got. Yeah. And so they order 8 6-minute pilots, and I do not know what the other 5 were, but they picked up 3.
Okay.
And we get the OG3 Nicktoons. Now you remember the OG3.
I do remember the OG3.
August 11th is the day. August 11th 1991. Now, this felt like event TV too, much like a year later Snick felt like event TV.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
I remember the premiere of Nicktoons and it being such a big thing.
Mm-hmm. What were those OG3?
The OG3 that premiere on August 11th, 1991. You got Doug.
Doug's number one in my heart.
You got Rugrats.
Love a Rugrat.
You got Ren and Stimpy. Those are your first three.
Yeah.
Those are the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost of Nicktoons. And interpret that however you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's not for us to say.
No. I leave that up to God.
Yeah. I leave that up to Geraldine.
And Amy, I want to throw to you. We're gonna let's get into talking about these. Now that we're 20 minutes in,
sure.
Let's get into actually talking about these shows. And I know that there are a few things that you love on this whole earth. Few things that you love more than Doug.
That's true. I love Doug. Doug is absolutely my favorite Nicktoon. It's one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows ever. There's just
I would say Doug would be on my short list of favorite animated shows ever.
Yeah, I think yeah. And now let me be clear, I do mean Nickelodeon Doug, because once Disney bought it, it was not the same.
Well, so there's an interesting thing that happens that I'll bring up.
Yeah.
That we're going to see. So the parent company of MTV Networks, and thus Nickelodeon, was Viacom. And in the mid-90s, they have this big budget freeze. And it affects several of the Nicktoons. In particular, it affects the OG3.
Right, yeah.
In different ways. So we're gonna see that. So it's almost like the first three Nicktoons. There's like a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah, there kind of is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, I think, sort of was also like, when part 2 started happening was also around the time we stopped watching as much.
Correct.
So we were sort of phasing out from watching Nickelodeon entirely.
Yeah, and sort of by the time they came back producing new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I was watching Raw. And, Monday Night Raw.
You're getting raw.
Getting raw.
Fucking getting raw. Well, so let's talk about Doug. This was created by Jim Jenkins. I know.
Finally.
We're talking about Doug. So this followed the titular Doug Funny.
The titular Doug.
The titular Doug Funny. Who's just, this is kind of like a semi-autobiographical. Jim Jenkins, the creator.
Yeah,
this was kind of about his...
Sweet.
It's so sweet.
It's coming of age, you know.
Yes, and I love it. And it's just like a kid and his dog and his sweet parents. And
he's at an awkward age.
He's at an awkward age. He's got a best friend, very loyal. He's got the things
that all the kids watching probably mostly have. They've got a best friend. They've got a crush on someone.
Yeah.
Maybe they've got a bully.
Yeah.
At school, it's got all the big ones, all the heavy hitters.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe a sister who they don't get along with, but like at the end of the day, like they really love them.
Yeah, I mean, they bicker, they fight.
Did anybody have that?
No.
No. Okay.
I ended up being very justified.
It was just only hatred.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. That's great. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it was very coming of age.
Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good.
Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good.
That's what that sounds like.
Tell me you love me. Yeah, it was very sweet. Like, you had a lot of. You would always the beginning of there'd be like 2 stories per half-hour episode. which was also very, like, Rugrats did that as well. I think Ren and Stimpy
yeah.
did that. So you'd have, shorter
all
little,
the good tunes did
all the
that.
greats.
Like
all the greats
little, like,
did
15 minute, and with
Yep.
commercials, it's really like 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you'd always have, Doug was always journaling. Or, like, writing
That was
in
the
his
framework,
diary.
right? As
Remember,
he was
that
always,
was the framework.
and he would narrate it.
He would narrate it, and so he'd be, like, in his room, writing in his diary about something, and then you would see it all happen. There was lots of, like, daydream sequences, and there were lots of characters that Doug played, like, in his mind.
Well, there was Quailman. That's the most famous
Quailman,
one. That
Quailman,
his
of course.
superhero alter ego.
His superhero alter ego, Quailman, yeah. Where he had his underwear on the outside of his shorts and the belt around his head.
About belt around his head.
My favorite, though, was Durango Doug.
Durango Doug. That was the cowboy.
Eats nails for lunch and drinks unsweetened punch.
Yep.
Durango Doug. I'll never forget that.
Correct. There was also his James Bond, his James Bond, which was Smash Adams.
Yes, I remember that.
That was one. And then there was Race Canyon, who was... I don't think you saw him that much. I remember him dressing as Race Canyon in the Halloween episode, because it's like basically an Indiana Jones character.
Oh, okay. I do remember that. I just didn't remember the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotcha. Well, he had the cutest dog, Pork Chop.
Oh, Pork Chop.
And he had a little, like, fake igloo that he slept in outside. You remember?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
did.
little igloo. Best friend, Skeeter Valentine.
Mosquito. Valentine.
That's right. Love of his life, Patty Mayonnaise. I wish I could do a good Patty Mayonnaise, but I can't.
Skeeter and Doug are really like,
Yeah.
a bromance.
It is a bromance for the ages. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's just a really pure... And I know this sounds so silly, but, like, I feel like it's very important to see, like young male friendships in, like, just real positive, like, good... Like, they're best friends. There's not drama really between them. I mean, occasionally there'll be something, but it was just, like, a really good, positive, healthy friendship for them.
Supportive.
And I just love that. It was
like,
very
Skeeter was
supportive.
always very supportive of Doug's
Skeeter's
crush
a very
on Patty
loyal
Mayonnaise.
friend. Yes. Oh, yes.
He was keeping that secret. He was being a supportive friend.
And let's be honest, Patty did love Doug.
Oh, God. Ow, Doug. Isn't this kind of like that?
Yeah.
Ow, Doug.
Ow.
No, look, Patty was a catch, right? Great
Patty
girl.
was a catch.
Great girl, smart, athletic. She's fun.
Yeah.
And then you got Roger, who, he's Roger. There's always got to be one of them.
Roger's an asshole.
He's trailer trash. He lives in the trailer.
He's troubled.
He has a leather jacket and bacon hair.
He does have bacon hair. He's troubled.
Yeah. He's troubled. I would say not beyond saving, though. Like, there's a heart in there. Like,
there definitely is. Yeah, I was gonna say there's
a good guy buried under all the. He's just had maybe a little rough upbringing.
Yeah.
But I'm not giving up on Roger.
He does not have support. I'll tell you that right now.
Right.
At home, at school, he does not have the support he needs.
He is what's his name in Breakfast Club?
Oh, sure. Shit. Yeah.
God
damn it. God damn it. Not Judge Reinhold. Judge Hirsch. Judd Hirsch. Not Judge Hirsch.
My name is Judd.
I got there. Judge Hirsch.
Judge Hirsch. Judge Hirsch.
Judge Reinhold, by the way, that's not a name.
No.
That's not a... Pick
That's
another first.
That's a title.
Insane. That's a title. That's not a first name.
That's a job.
We don't talk about that enough.
Yeah.
We'll just
That's like me saying my first name is like...
Carpenter.
I was gonna say...
Computer analyst. Reinhold. Like...
Cobbler. This is all getting cut.
Oh no, I'm leaving this in.
Oh, God damn it.
Well, let's talk about... So, a couple things before we talk about, how you talked about the the budget freeze and it getting transferred over.
Yeah.
But I want to talk first about a couple of side characters and bits. You had the neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Dink.
Hello there, Douglas!
Yes. Oh, yeah. Loved it. Very expensive.
Very expensive.
He had a big lisp.
Yeah. I've always had gadgets, cool gadgets.
Yeah. Very cool gadgets.
Did not get
he
the
wanted to
Dink
show off.
joke as a kid. The dual income, no kids.
Oh my god, I'm just now getting it.
Oh, really?
I did not realize that.
I'm telling you this now.
I mean, I've heard that term, of course, but not,
That was the thing, is they were a husband and wife with no kids, and that's why he always had so many like cool gadgets, because that's what he spent his money on.
He had no kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the joke.
Oh, I spend mine on Dunkin' Donuts. He spent his on
gadgets.
Cool gadgets. Yeah.
Mr. Dink always reminded me of Brian's father. Not well, he obviously had kids, but he always had cool gadgets. Like he's a very
and he
gadgety
gave off that vibe. Not the very expensive thing, but just very like kind and energetic and enthusiastic.
Yeah.
That's Brian's dad. Yeah, and cool gadgets.
Yeah.
Also, there was the band, the Beats, which was Doug and Skeeter and Patty, I think, like favorite band.
Oh yeah. It was the Beatles. It was their Beatles. It was their Led Zeppelin.
It was their Beatles. Yeah. Their Nirvana.
Yeah. Now, do you want to sing us a Beats tune?
I could do a little banging on a trash can, drumming on a street light. Something, something, something. I don't know the rest. That's all I got.
Okay, well, that was okay. That was pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Doug just always, it was just always my favorite. I don't know. It's just very comfortable to watch Doug.
I'd say Doug is, we're starting out with both of our favorites. I gotta say, Doug is my favorite.
Yeah. Now, tell us about what happened here.
Right,
so there's kind of like a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah. Okay, so originally when they picked it up, Nickelodeon ordered 65 episodes, and they got 52 episodes in, which is 4 seasons. And then Nickelodeon declined to pick up the additional 13 because of this like budget freeze that basically Viacom, their parent company, had ordered. And so yeah, like I said, it affects these 3 shows in different ways. In the instance of Doug, they basically sort of put the show on indefinite hiatus.
Yeah.
And they have 2 years in the contract basically to reverse their decision. They're like, we're not paying you to make any more episodes, but we reserve the right to.
And it's not because Nickelodeon didn't want to, but because they weren't allowed to, basically?
It was, basically.
Allowed.
I'm not allowed!
They weren't allowed.
They were not allowed by their bosses. Yeah, essentially.
So capitalism ruined our childhood, is what you're trying to tell me.
Yes, correct. It created and ruined it.
Oh, that is true.
So, there's a big gap, basically, in time after the 4th season, which goes on, obviously for a while after production ended. Flash forward to February 96, Walt Disney buys ABC, then they purchase the rights to Doug, and that's when we get the second part of Doug, which is actually longer. Yeah. There's more episodes of
and a movie.
And a movie after Disney buys it. To me, it was always inferior, and it was never ever the same after that.
It just wasn't it wasn't the same.
That's when Billy Wilder left and wasn't doing the voice of Doug anymore.
And that was the biggest thing. I was like, the guy who did the voice of Doug, no shade, but it just wasn't the same. Now, Constance Schulman did continue to do Patty Mayonnaise, I know.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's good stuff in there, but like if I'm rewatching Doug, if I'm going back and rewatching Doug, it's for sure going to be those first 4 seasons. The Nickelodeon
and also,
years.
By that point, I'm 9, you're 11. We're not watching it as much anymore anyway. So
exactly, yeah, we're also aging out. So whatever, budget freeze, schmudget freeze.
Yeah. Well, let's take this right into you want to talk about our second one here, Rugrats.
every one of these has a killer theme. Every single one of these 6 we're talking about. There's not a bad
Fucking
one in the
bops.
bunch.
No. All hits, no misses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Klasky Suspo is who we're going to talk about now.
Oh, great.
No, Rugrats was created by Arlene Klasky, Gabor Supo,
Okay.
and Paul Germain. And
right.
they made the first 2 of them created Klasky Supo, which is this company that's made a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So but Rugrats is kind of the thing that launches that company. In fact, they make one of these other Nicktoons we're going to talk about here in a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, what can we say about Rugrats? You know what Rugrats. If you found this podcast, you know what Rugrats are.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
babies.
about a bunch of babies. It's babies.
A bunch of babies.
It's a bunch of babies.
Now,
and they talk.
You're gonna get us in trouble again because you're gonna voice your displeasure, your dislike of Rugrats.
Okay, I don't dislike Rugrats. I dislike SpongeBob. Which we'll talk about. Rugrats was never my favorite.
Sure.
And I didn't dislike
Boy, it
Rugrats.
was on all the time.
So that was part of it, is it was on constantly, and I would watch it, but it was always just sort of one of those, like, oh, there's an hour Rugrats on in between 2 things that I'd rather watch, so I'll just watch it in the meantime. I didn't dislike it, it just was never, like, of my favorites.
Sure.
So, that's all.
Okay.
That's all it is. Yeah.
So, let's go over our cast of characters here in Rugrats. You've got your hero. And he really is the leading man of the Rugrats.
And, yeah, quite a leading man.
Tommy Pickles.
Yeah.
He's charismatic as hell for a baby.
Yeah. Tommy No Pants Pickles.
Old Tommy No Pants Pickles.
Old Tommy No Pants. Because the other ones do have pants on.
Oh, that's a good... Well, he's in a diaper. I mean...
That's not pants. If I wore a diaper, Justin, you'd say those are not pants.
But he's baby.
Well, the others are baby, too.
Maybe maybe he's the youngest, and so he's still in a diaper.
I don't know why they'd let him be in charge, then.
Because he's the most charismatic.
He's still shitting in
He
his
is a
pants.
natural born leader. Tommy Pickles is a
still,
natural born leader.
I think they're all still in diapers. But their parents... Maybe this is what it is. Because the parents...
are always leaving them at Tommy Pickles' house.
At Tommy Pickles' house.
So they're at someone else's house, but Tommy's at his own house.
So they've dressed their children to leave the house. Tommy Pickles lives there, so
and
his
he
mom
gets
put
to have
pants
no
on him.
pants like we do. Like when we're
That's
in our...
correct.
Like,
when people
I'm
come
in
to my house,
alone,
they put pants on, but I won't have them on.
I will not have pants on.
I will not put on airs or pants for you.
Right. Right.
I'll put on pants for some people. My mom, no. That's what it is, I bet, Justin.
Because, I honestly think we just cracked it.
I think we did crack it.
I didn't even know it needed cracking, but we cracked it.
But we did it. We did it. Well, speaking of these other... Okay, so who are the other kids?
All right, so we got Tommy's crew. Chucky,
yeah.
he's the reluctant sidekick. He is your... He's the Sam to Tommy's Frodo.
He's very anxious, isn't he?
Yeah, well, yes, very anxious, very very nerdy. And you meet his dad, of course, and his dad's the exact same way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just very, very timid, very nervous. But
just projecting his anxieties onto his son.
Yeah, yeah. And he always he's got a real stuffed up nose situation.
Oh yeah,
happening.
Yeah.
Well, he needs like this.
He needs a baby Benadryl.
He does. Yeah. I was always a Chucky fan. I think he was maybe my favorite.
I like that you wrote Phil and Lil gross, weird twins who eat dirt and bugs. Tell us how you really feel.
That's all I have to say about Phil and Lil. That's what they are. Gross, weird twins who eat dirt and bugs. They're pretty much indistinguishable from each other.
Except one has a bow in their hair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lil,
yeah, I mean, Phil and Lil are Phil and Lil. They're the Wonder Twins, you know? You got Superman, you got Batman, and then you got the Wonder Twins.
Yeah, but they're too busy eating dirt and bugs and shit to do anything.
Well, that's the Wonder Twins.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, what about Angelica? She was a real bitch.
Well, she's like Lex Luthor, you know?
Oh, boy.
Just a real bitch. And
cunt, that one.
I don't make it habit of calling children bitches, but she's a bitch.
That's just what she is.
Yeah, and it was it would be a pleasure watching her get what was coming to her every episode.
Oh, I know.
It's like great. Wrestling, you know? Just I'm
yeah,
watching.
She's a real heel.
Oh, she's a real heel. Yeah.
Yeah, she makes a great heel. She's
Horrible
Tom's cousin,
girl.
and she's older. She's what, probably 4-ish.
So yeah, so the dynamic of this, which I always loved this aspect of it. So obviously these are babies who aren't supposed to really be able to talk yet.
Under 10 years old.
They talk to each other. They can talk to each other, but they can't talk to the adults like a real baby can't talk yet.
Yes. Yeah.
But Angelica can talk to the babies and the adults.
Right, because she's older. Yeah.
As well as Susie, the girl who moves in next door and becomes kind of the good older kid.
Yes.
Who is more protective of the babies and butts heads with Angelica, battles against her wickedness.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We needed
but they're kind of the go-betweens, right? They can talk to, obviously, the adults, and they can talk to the babies and understand the babies.
Mm-hmm. Now, I always liked Stu and Dee Dee. Tommy's
the parents.
Now,
they're very... I've gone back and rewatched actually quite a bit of Nicktoons over the past year or so, and I've watched Rugrats pretty recently, and Stu and Dee Dee are so they're so Gen X. I love it. I love it.
Yes,
like they're just very like you could tell they're like that dad was like an arty grunge kid up until like a year ago when he had a kid.
Yeah, exactly. That's when he had Tommy. Now, didn't Tommy have a younger brother eventually? Didn't they pull
yes.
a late season?
Yeah, they did. Well, they did a couple of those. They had a couple other cast members. Chucky gets like a half sister. Because Chucky's dad gets married, and if you want to cry, watch the movie where they talk about what happened to Chucky's mom.
Oh, Jesus!
Oh, it's big tearjerker.
I never watched the movies.
Some of them are really good. The Paris one is really good. I remember, but I don't remember a whole lot of details. It's been years.
Did that one come out in theaters? The Paris one?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it did. Yeah,
maybe. Oh, Stu and Dee Dee. Yeah. You kind of had the adult crew too.
Yeah,
almost
you had their grandpa.
It's kind of like South Park. You got the kids.
Oh yeah.
And you got the adults. You got all the parents, and they're kind of their own too, and they get their own stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the main thing's the babies.
Dem babies.
Dem babies.
Now this ran for a long time.
Oh, this was for a long time the longest running Nicktoon.
Yes, for a long time.
So the way that the budget freeze thingy affected Rugrats is basically they halted production in 1993. They didn't produce any new episodes for like 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
But they did produce 2 Jewish holiday specials.
Because the Pickles family is Jewish, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they produced a Passover special and a Hanukkah special.
Oh, okay.
And in the ensuing years, whereas like Doug, basically same treatment, got put on hiatus, ended up getting bought. Rugrats, as we said a minute ago, was in reruns so much. It was on constantly that its ratings actually went up over the years because it was always on and people were like really, really into it. So much so that in '96, like 3 years after they halted production, it goes back into production. So you get this like second run.
That's crazy.
After a 3-year hiatus. This was, by that point, I'm not watching Rugrats anymore.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. But, and that's arguably its most that is certainly its most popular over the years.
Because it ran until 2004, Justin?
It ran until 2004. They had a series of theatrical movies.
You were out of high school.
Uh-huh.
That's insane.
This was the longest running Nicktoon until it was overtaken by SpongeBob.
Sure.
172 episodes and 9 seasons during a 13-year run. But of course, you did have a 3-year gap in there.
Yeah.
And there's currently a reboot series that is going on right now. They are in their 2nd or 3rd season, I want to say.
Have you watched any of it?
No, not a bit.
Would you?
I mean, I probably wouldn't put it too high on my priority list, honestly.
Yeah. Maybe check out an episode.
I might check out an episode or 2, and if I liked it, I'd keep going. But it's not something I'm going to see. It's on Paramount Plus if you're interested. I don't know anything about if it's good or not. So if you've seen it, let me know.
Okay. Well,
let's talk about Ren and Stimpy, because there's a lot to talk about with Ren and Stimpy.
yeah, and I didn't love Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
I think at the time I liked it okay, but in retrospect I don't like it. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It's certainly, I think, of all of these shows, the most polarizing.
Yeah, it's really like gruesome and really weird.
It is very strange. Yeah, basically you've got it's a dog and a cat, and it's kind of structured, if you've never seen it, almost like the old like Looney Tunes would be. It was what it made me think of, where it's like there's not, so like, you know, in Doug it's him living in a house, going to school and seeing the same people every day. Yeah. In Rugrats it's the same thing, a group of kids, a group of babies in the same house doing stuff. With this, it's kind of like in this episode maybe they're astronauts. In this episode, they're running a bakery. It's like Three Stooges or something, you know? It's like, this is the premise is they're mechanics this time, you know, or whatever.
It's not like they get into a situation and there's the story, which is how Doug and Rugrats would be. It's just like, we open the episode, and for reasons unknown to us, they are running a bakery. Yeah.
There's a lot of yelling. And it's very manic and very high energy. Now, I always thought that the animation was so cool, and
the animation is
far,
really cool.
I always thought the best part of Ren and Stimpy, because some of Ren and Stimpy I really love. I haven't gone back and rewatched it a lot, but I could see not being as into it. I mean, look, some stuff like Powdered Toast Man is just funny. It's just funny. It's just funny. Or the big wrestler, what's his name, is funny. He looks like Ryback.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember...
I love a good butt cheek gag, like strong, superpower butt cheeks more than anyone. You know? But it does get to be a bit much. And that was always an issue with... There was a lot of controversy surrounding Ren and Stimpy. There was also a lot of critical acclaim.
Yeah. Like
I read that Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, when I was putting notes together reading about this, said at the time when it was on that other than The Simpsons, Ren and Stimpy is the only good animated show on TV.
Wow.
Which I would debate. I mean, Doug is also on. So.
Doug is also on.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, at least got to throw Doug in there.
Jeez. Now, this was created by John...
Yeah, good luck.
Chris Falusi? Crick Falusi?
Crick Falusi.
Yeah.
So, this guy, he seems like a real piece of work. So Ren and Stimpy were actually characters from... He created this whole other show. Okay. That was like more of a variety show that had different things, and two of the recurring characters were Ren and Stimpy. That's what he pitched as the show, and they didn't like it. But they were like, we like Ren and Stimpy, but we don't like any of the rest of it. What if we just did just them? Okay. And so that's how it kind of came to be. And they were doing, so they didn't have the... We'll talk in a minute about how they eventually had their own studio, which would become Nickelodeon Animation Studio.
Yeah.
But at this time, they didn't. So they had it was very unusual, I think, especially for that time. They were basically allowing these production companies to produce the shows
wherever was convenient for them.
Right. So basically the creators of all these shows started their own production companies to create the shows under Nickelodeon. Which in the case of like Doug and Rugrats worked out great. In the case of this one, they butted heads a lot.
Okay.
This John K, because I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
John Crickfalusi. Yeah, they butted heads a lot. Their relationship between him and Nickelodeon deteriorated. A lot of it was he was apparently very lax about like production deadlines and just like wouldn't get shit in on time, like all the time.
You gotta do that.
And then it was also, I think, slowed down by they would always be making him change things because he was taking it too far. And
you're like, this is for children.
Yeah, and they had episodes that so there was an episode in particular called Man's Best Friend that never aired on Nick.
Okay.
Due to the content, due to the violence in it.
Jesus.
Eventually it aired. He did, and I remember this, when Spike TV launched, which no longer exists. He had a very brief reboot show called like Adult Toon Party or something, Ren and Stimpy. And this episode, this Man's Best Friend that was never aired on Nick, they actually used that as the pilot episode. So it did eventually air.
But it's not on Nickelodeon.
It went 3 episodes before it got canceled.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very gruesome. It's very gross. A lot of, I mean, it's almost like I respect it because they were willing to go where a lot of people weren't, like with like the bathroom humor and there's a lot of poop and boogers and butts and farts and all of that type of thing. And a lot of violence.
Kids love.
Of violence.
But
which
also,
kids love, yeah. And our dad liked a lot.
Our dad did love it.
Yeah. So anyway, Nickelodeon ends up firing this guy in the 2nd season. So really, there's only like 1.5 seasons of Ren and Stimpy that were made by the guy that created it. And then they took over this. So this was like the first show they had. It was like called like Gaming Productions or something that would eventually become Nickelodeon Animation Studios. They started making the new episodes. So like it ran for 5 seasons and did 52 episodes. But over half of those are not with the creator. And and this straight up just got canceled with the budget freeze.
With the budget freeze, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't. I think it's
honestly crazy that because nowadays if something like that happened, well, like with the writer's strike that happened in 2008, I mean, so many shows just didn't make it. Yeah. You know, they just did. So to think of that, there was a 2-year period where they couldn't make shows and still some of them survived. It's just kind of crazy to me.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Also, I wanted to just get a visual because I'm that person. So I looked up John Crickfalusi or whatever, just to see what he looked like. And in 2018, BuzzFeed News did a whole
he
article.
He got me too, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, he for underage sexual abuse. Just want to throw that out there. So apparently he is a real
piece of work.
Real piece of work. Yeah. Some Ren and Stimpy fans who were underage and
and Ren and Stimpy never, with the exception of his attempted reboot of it, which lasted 3 episodes, never came back for anything.
No.
No. That never did a movie or any sort of. I think it feels very much of its time, that early 90s.
Yes.
Like, some of it did air on MTV, and you can see it airing on MTV.
I was going to say, really pushing the envelope of like,
particularly
what
for
is
kids
for
programs.
Kids? Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I feel like the next show we're going to talk about
is perfect.
Takes the edginess
of
Ren and Stimpy, which I appreciate, even if it didn't always work for me. I appreciated how edgy they were and how different they were trying to be.
Yes.
And made it at least palatable. And at least more palatable, I will say. And that's Rocko's Modern Life.
Good as new. Rocko's Modern Life. Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah.
I would put Rocko's Modern Life at the up at the top with Doug, I would say. These are my favorite.
Yeah.
I love Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah. Also, banger of a theme song.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rocko's Modern Life.
I like the
Rocko's Modern Life.
Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah.
That's the
It's very,
it's a very B-52s.
Max Headroom or something. Oh, yeah, B-52s. Is it the B-52s doing that song? Wouldn't that be incredible?
I don't think it is, but I think that's what that guy's trying to sound like.
For sure.
Rocko's Modern Life.
Rocko's Modern Life.
Ah! Created by Joe Murray. Now, Rocko's Modern Life is the first complete show created and produced in Nickelodeon Animation Studios.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So this was they had this sort of deal with these outside production offices for the first three.
Yeah.
The Ren and Stimpy situation happens, and they move production in house. And then
Because this premieres in '93, you said, right?
yeah, so essentially we get the first three, and for like 91 to fall 91 to fall 93, that's the three Nicktoons.
Okay.
And in September '93, we get a fourth one, which is Rocko's Modern Life.
Yes.
And it's the best thing. It's
so good.
It's so good. And I have watched Rocko. I have watched quite a bit of Rocko very recently.
Okay.
And it holds up. It
Does
really
it?
does. Well, we were watching Aren't You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes.
At Halloween.
Uh-huh.
And then it recommended All Real Monsters, which I watched a bunch of, and then it went into Rocko. And I just kind of kept watching.
As it should.
This is set in O-Town.
Yeah.
And this is very Gen X. It's very
it is. Well, because that's who's creating.
I just think that so they certainly had a lot of edge in Ren and Stimpy. There was, I'm sorry, Rocko's Modern Life. It was certainly edgy, and it had a lot of adult humor, and it had a lot of double entendre.
I feel like it also had a lot of heart, though, that
innuendo.
Ren and Stimpy
But it
did not have.
That's what I'm saying. I feel it was also really likable characters like Rocko and Heifer. They just create and Filbert. They create a very so everyone's an animal. Everyone's a different animal, right?
Yes.
Rocko's a wallaby.
It's a Zootopia situation.
It's a Zootopia situation. We got a wallaby, Rocko, his best friend Heifer, who is a heifer, a cow. And he's got a dog, Spunky.
Was Heifer raised by wolves or something? Am I remembering?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay.
Heifer is a big idiot, but he's
a big dumb baby?
He's a big dumb baby for sure.
Yeah.
But he's got a good heart. He's just a big clod, just fucking running, just but
me.
Just real good natured. Hey, Rock. And Filbert's basically Woody Allen.
Oh, but without the abuse. He's just...
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yes. Thanks. Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
Well,
Right. But he's unlike this, and he's very neurotic.
oh, he's very neurotic. Oh,
I
God.
fogged up my glasses. Oh no,
Yeah.
my glasses.
Oh. And, Rocko, he's just...
He's your everyman.
he is your everyman.
Okay, so here's what I think is great about Rocko. So he's clearly supposed to be really young. He's an immigrant, which is something
He
they
is.
address because he's Australian. He's a wallaby.
Yes. We don't have those here, right? We don't have wallabies here.
Correct?
Okay, I'll just... Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one?
No.
Okay.
I watched
seen
Rocko's
cows.
Modern Life. I have, so we do have cows. I
But
think
no,
turtles as well.
We have turtles as well. But no, Rocko's Modern Life it feels exactly like how I feel. It really does a good job of capturing that feeling of being out in the world for the first time. You're out of high school, you're expected to make money somehow. Mm-hmm. And it's you're working a dead end job. He works at a comic shop.
Which is cool. Very Gen X.
Very Gen X. Although there is that one episode, which, speaking of adult themes and stuff, where it's heavily, heavily implied that he's working at a phone sex hotline.
What? I don't remember that one.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh.
I don't remember a lot of specific episodes
Okay.
of Rocko.
Well, yeah, that was definitely a thing.
That's
Oh yeah,
hilarious.
they did a lot of stuff like that I probably didn't pick up on
No, I'm
as
sure
a
we
kid,
didn't. It's
but I'm
right
sure like
over our
Dad
heads.
appreciated.
Yeah, I'm sure, because Dad loved Rocko.
Which, and honestly, like I was reading about the development of this show with the creator Joe Murray, and how they were very much like the idea was to appeal to college students and appeal to adults too. And that's
so
like
funny.
Ren and Stimpy did that, and Rocko really did that, I think.
Was this before Cartoon Network was a...
No, Cartoon Network was definitely a thing.
Cartoon Network already existed?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because this gives me the vibe of something that would be on Cartoon Network, doesn't it?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas it's,
no.
kind of made more for older
Yeah.
kids.
But as a kid, I appreciated it. It's got a lot
really
of heart.
loved
It's
it.
so well written.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so genuinely funny.
I'm going to have to go back and watch some, because I don't remember a lot of specifics, but I remember loving it.
It's really great. And yeah, like I said, I've watched some within the last few months, and it really does hold up. Like, it's a
Yeah.
good show.
Yeah. You stand by it.
I do. I stand by it. I was reading that he being Joe Murray, Joe Murray, the creator, originally created the character to be like a kind of a comic character in the 80s, and then he was very hesitant about it becoming a show and getting a business with Nickelodeon anyway. But was glad he did, and it all worked out. But he said he was originally inspired to create the character because he was at a zoo, and he was just like laughing about this wallaby who was in this enclosure, just like kind of just standing and staring, like completely oblivious to all this chaos that was happening around him.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's kind of how that show is to me.
That's
It's
hilarious.
just like he's just this like chill character who has
He's kind of frozen. Yeah, he's like...
Yeah, and just like dealing with the craziness that the chaos that comes with just like how mundane day-to-day life is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, he's like, what is he doing today? I have to go to work. I'm going on a trip with my friend.
Yeah.
Or it's like something in the house broke. Or,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm dealing with this guy at work. Or something like that,
Yeah.
And just the kind of exaggerated chaos that
Will ensue.
that it feels like being that age, of being like out in the world for the first time.
Yeah.
And being like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Right. How am I supposed to react to this?
Yeah.
And Rocko will teach you. He'll show you.
And then you have, I feel like we got to wrap up the Rocko's Modern Life discussion, but you got to mention the big heads.
Oh, sure.
And Ed is like, Rocko! He's old, cantankerous man. He's your Walter Matthau.
Oh, are they neighbors or something?
They're neighbors, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
And Bev's much nicer. She's the wife, and she kind of talks like this. And she's very flirty, and she calls the phone sex line and talks to Rocko.
Oh my god, yeah, I don't remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
Does she know she's calling the phone sex line?
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
No, there's like a sign behind him when he's working at this call center. And it says, remember, be hot, be naughty, be courteous.
Oh my god.
Amy, when's the last time you watched any real monsters? Because I've watched it pretty recently.
When was the last time it aired?
1997.
I've not watched it in a very long time.
Yeah. Also holds
I
up.
remember this not
Huh?
being... I feel like there were less episodes of this than others.
Well,
For some reason, I remember this being on for a shorter
it came
period
a little
of time.
later. So again, we're aging out of it, I think, sooner. It ran for 4 seasons, 52 episodes, until 97, and but also we were aging out of it by then. But I was still very much on the Nickelodeon train in '94. Like I was still snicking. I was still Nicktooning. For sure. And I remember the premiere
absolutely.
being Halloween weekend 94, and I remember that feeling like the new Nicktoons premiering, and it's about monsters, and it's premiering on
it's
Halloween.
about monsters. Yes. Now this is the other one you were talking about that is Klasky Cuspo.
Yes, this is the same folks who created Rugrats.
Sorry to get
Sorry,
on, 'cause
Klasky.
I cannot say. Yeah.
And this is about three monsters. I guess Obelina and Crumb, who
Just fucking weird ass monster names.
just good monsters.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good monster names.
The design on these monsters are just chef's kiss.
Oh yeah, Ickis is the
love
like
them.
purple one with the big ears, right?
Yeah.
And the like huge lips. Obelina is like the upside down candy cane.
Candy
It's
cane,
like
the black and white stripe.
And
Very Beetlejuice vibes.
very Beetlejuice, and she's like from a wealthy family, so she's like very like best student and
Hermione Granger.
kind of
well,
bougie.
Hermione's not from a wealthy family, but
Right.
kind of
She's
it,
the
yeah.
Hermione, yeah.
yeah.
And then you have Crumb, who is nude and hairy and carries his eyeballs in his hands, and has
Fucked up.
very very stinky armpits, which is his big superpower.
Oh yeah, and his arms are always up because they're always
Because
holding
he's always
his
holding his hands up. Yeah.
Stink, constant stink. Well, if he's holding his eyeballs in his hands, he can't put deodorant on.
That's a great point.
He'd have to have somebody hold his eyeballs for him.
Yeah. Well, I always remember
Or put the deodorant
I remember
on.
that he puts his eyeballs in a glass of water when he sleeps.
Oh my God, you're right. Well, he didn't want him drying out.
No, you gotta. Yeah.
They get dry.
That's how-
Just like you put your contacts in the solution. It's the same thing.
Oh, for sure. Then the school. So they
fine.
go to a school.
Yeah.
And it's under the dump.
For monsters, sure.
A monster school that's under the dump. And the gimmick of this here show is that they're learning how to scare people. So most of
This is Monsters Inc. before Monsters Inc.
Correct. Yeah, and so most all of their adventures, pretty much involve going up to the surface. It's in New York City.
Yes.
And I gotta say, the first episode I watched quite a bit of it recently. The first episode is set on Halloween, premiered on Halloween '94, and is very Halloweeny, Amy.
Oh,
Very
shit.
Halloweeny.
I'll have to watch that. I remember really liking the animation style on this one, too.
Oh yeah, it's
Which is
animated.
similar to
It's similar to
Rugrats,
Rugrats, yeah. But it's a really great, creative, cool-looking animation style.
It is.
You do have eventually, in a much later episode of Rugrats, you do have some cameos by the monsters. Who I don't know if it's a dream sequence or something, but they have or they're being chased by monsters, and the monsters.
Oh, I love that.
All real
great.
monsters are in there.
That's great. I love it.
I am going to confess that I never have really watched all that much Hey Arnold, which is the 6th show that we're going to sort of end our discussion of Nicktoons with. Have you watched a lot of Hey Arnold? And because I know Hey Arnold is beloved.
Hey Arnold is beloved, and I think we talked about for some of those millennials who are just a couple years younger than us, Hey Arnold is probably the Nicktoon. Hey Arnold and then SpongeBob, probably the Nicktoons that define their childhood. Whereas by the time Hey Arnold came around in October of 1996, we were really not watching Nickelodeon with any kind of regularity.
Yeah.
Now I have watched a handful of Hey Arnold, and I watched more Hey Arnold when I was in college.
Really?
Because it was still running, and my best friend Jessie loves Hey Arnold. And she would watch a lot of Hey Arnold. So when I was at her house, I would then watch a lot of Hey Arnold. So what I saw, I always really, really liked. But I've never gone back and watched all of it or anything like that. And I wasn't watching it so much as a kid.
Yeah, I remember seeing it, and I've certainly seen episodes. But I never, again, I was kind of aging out of it at the time, so it didn't have the the stranglehold on my day-to-day life like Rugrats did or Doug did, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not. But I do love Hey Arnold, and Hey Arnold is also set in New York City. Is that right?
No, it's in Washington, but it's supposed to be kind of a combination of he spent time in like Seattle and Brooklyn and Portland, and it's supposed to be like a combination. But it's supposed to be in the city of the Northwest.
Oh, okay.
But it does have a very Brooklyn-y feel.
It does. Now Hey Arnold has maybe the best bedroom.
Correct.
Of any character from a show ever. He has like a skylight, doesn't he?
Yes. It's
in
like
his bedroom.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I would say it's either that. It's either him or Clarissa.
I was going to say, yeah.
As far
Clarissa's
as 90s bedrooms go, or maybe one of
Mm-hmm.
the Full House ones, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
It's great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So he lives with Arnold, obviously. He lives with his grandparents, and they own, like, a boarding house. So you'll oftentimes have, like, people who are staying at the boarding house, you know, kind of coming in and out of episodes. But, again, much like... I felt like this was a very spiritual successor to Doug.
Yeah.
In a sense.
It was a coming-of-age thing.
It was very coming-of-age. Gerald is his best friend. You have... Now, in this, you have a Helga...
You have Patty Mayonnaise mixed with Roger Klotz.
Yes.
You have the bully who's a bully because she's in love with him.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, Helga.
And it's a bit of... Oh, Helga. Helga Pataki. Yeah. Now this, interestingly enough, is the first Nicktoon to have feature kids' voices as like the actual kids.
Yeah, it is. And I thought it was funny going and looking at the voice cast. Because of that, because they use actual kids, most of them had to be recast several times because the actors would hit puberty and their voices would change.
Oh, gosh, that's funny. Okay, yeah.
I think Gerald is the only one who they didn't recast, and they explained it away somehow, like why they did like a tonsil episode or something to explain why his voice was changing. That's
hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, I know they did change voices for Joseph on King of the Hill, but they did kind of explain.
Yeah,
remember, he goes through puberty.
Yeah.
He hit puberty, and then Breckenmeyer starts doing his voice, which I think is really funny. Yeah, so I didn't watch a lot of Hey Arnold at that time. I watched it a little later and then in syndication. But it is really good, and you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, like I said, it's not one
It's
I've
beloved
seen
for a reason.
But no doubt. Did you ever see the movie? Because there was a theatrical movie that came out in 2002.
I may have seen it, but if I have, I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't see it in theaters, no.
And I assume you didn't see... There was a new movie that... Actually, it ended, the Hey Arnold kind of ended unceremoniously. It ended with this dispute about the second movie that ended up not coming out until like 2017.
Really?
The Jungle movie. Have you seen that? I guess not.
No, I definitely have not seen that. No.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting. But you can watch it now. But the last like several episodes got like unceremoniously dumped on the spread out over like 4 years. Like
weird.
Like they aired the final episode and didn't even announce it was the final episode.
Oh, shit.
Like years after
it
stopped.
Yeah, it ends in 2004. I guess I wasn't watching it when it was still on. It was all already... I guess I was just watching it in syndication.
Yeah, well, they had some sporadic episodes coming out, but really, like, production ended by the end of 2001. So...
That's crazy.
So, yeah, and then for several years, they had, like, just the last episodes kind of sporadically get released here and there.
That's interesting. Now... So, we talked about these main 6, and of course there are, like you said, a ton more Nicktoons, and possibly the biggest Nicktoon of all. Well, definitely the biggest Nicktoon of all, SpongeBob.
Yeah.
But that didn't even come out until 1999, which is really... We're getting into an era that we don't really talk about that much.
I was a teenager by then. But honestly, as far as SpongeBob goes, I mean, I know a lot of people who older, SpongeBob, I think, has had... The reason it has had the kind of success it has had is because it appeals to a wide demographic. And not just kids.
Not me.
Yeah, well, it was. I never really got into. I don't mind SpongeBob, but I never really got into it. Again, I know it's beloved. You also had things that were out in the late '90s that, again, I think is for that generation that's a couple years behind us.
Yes. Yeah.
But you had like Angry Beavers. You had Cat Dog. I did watch some of. I remember watching some Cat Dog.
I remember Cat Dog, Wild Thornberries.
I don't really recall much of the Wild Thornberries.
I remember them being on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was not watching Nickelodeon as much when they were on. But, like, I can remember them being on. I remember seeing ads for them. I must have been watching other stuff on Nickelodeon.
Yeah. And then, honestly, after SpongeBob, it's... I was going through the list of... I mean, and there's a ton of Nicktoons shows. And,
oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a few in there that I am a little familiar with. Like, they're the 2003 Ninja Turtle series, which is actually really good.
Yeah.
But again, it's a different generation at that time. That grew up loving shows like Invader Zim or like something I don't know a damn thing about, and I'm probably never gonna. But
yeah.
But it has
because Nicktoons became its own channel.
Yes, it did.
In 2002.
Yes, it did.
So
not that these don't get shown on the main Nickelodeon channel all the time, but in 2002 it became its own sister channel.
Yeah, you go from 11 years. You go from the premiere of the first 3 to now. There's so many that there's its own channel.
Yeah, yeah.
When they went years without really doing any.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
other than Tater Town.
Long live Tater Town.
It all comes back to Tater.
I think I know what we're doing on the Christmas tape this year.
It is circle or oval. Oh yeah, Christmas in Tater Town.
A tender Tennessee Tater Town Christmas. And now we have come back to the beginning. Taters. That's a nice bookend to the show, I think. Mm-hmm. What do you say?
Yeah. I think you can use potatoes as bookends.
Oh, Jesus. You and the potatoes. Oh, my God.
They don't roll around a lot, though. You want to cut one side and flatten it out.
Yeah, that works.
Then that'll work. Hey.
Hey.
Let's do some plugs.
Go right ahead. Do a plug.
Let's plug it up. Listen, if this is your thing, God help you, but if you enjoy this podcast, you can, of course, go find the 71 episodes before this one, wherever you found this one. You can also go follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and Threads on Instagram, at Cool Kids Club Pod. You can also find us on Facebook if you search for Cool Kids Club Podcast.
Yes, indeed. If you, for some reason, want to follow us personally on Instagram, you can find Amy at Amy Reads and me at Lousy with Ghosts. I will be happy to be your friend. You won't hear much from me, but I'll be there.
I'm actually Amy Reads TN.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Amy Reads TN.
Yeah, I'm in TN. I don't read, but I'm still in TN.
Apologies. Also want to shout out Blue Bar Cage, my other podcast I occasionally do. We haven't done anything in a little while, but holidays are over now, so we are probably going to gear up, and actually we're going to some big events coming up.
Last but not least,
certainly not,
we need to thank Brian Hey Guys Wakefield for our theme song, all of our theme songs. And if you want to check him out and all the cool things he does, check him out at brianwakefieldmusic.com. He basically asked us to dox him.
Yeah. I'm having dinner with him in like a couple hours.
What?
Oh, yes.
It's
Mexican night with Brian.
Ay caramba. Tell Brian, hey guys, I said hello. Hey guy. That I say hola. Hey guy. Let's wrap this up. I want a tater.
I thought you're just gonna eat a potato.
I'm just gonna go
bite
eat
into it
like
an apple.
That's right. That's right. I am.
Well, you have fun munching
get back
on
to
some
taters.
Let's talk about taters for another hour.
Let's do it. That's what the people want.
Yeah.
After an hour and a half of
tater
this
podcast.
All taters, all the time.
Well,
guys,
Amy.
Yeah.
I think that you should stay cool. What do you think?
You know what? I think you should stay cool.
I won't. I'm not going to do it.
I won't do it. And you can't tell me what to do.
You're not. Boss of me.
Fuck you.
1,